This is Karen.
Hello, everybody. I am Shane.
Today we're looking at part 2 of how to give feedback that people will listen to. And the vocabulary words are element.
Element.
Providing excellent customer service is a key element to the company's success.
Specific.
Specific.
The teacher asked the class to use specific examples in their essays.
Suggest.
Suggest.
My mom suggested we have hamburgers for dinner.
Flavor.
Flavor.
Blue cheese has a very strong flavor.
Personally.
Personally.
I couldn't help but take the things you said personally.
I'm sorry. Don't take it personally. I'm just trying to give you some feedback.
Okay.
Maybe I should focus on the action, not the person.
That's right.
So this is another tip to giving good feedback, right? So you don't want to focus on the person and say, you know, what you did is bad or you're not good at something. You can give them some specific ideas or some feedback on how they can improve the action that they did.
That's right. Like in today's article, I remember they mentioned that, you know, if you tell someone, hey, your speech was really boring, you might hurt their feelings and they don't really understand how to fix it. So rather than saying your speech is boring, you could probably say, hey, how about adding like a funny story at the end of your speech?
Yeah, so
right?
make it a little bit funnier or something like that. All right, what's another tip that we can use for giving good feedback?
And I think being very specific, like you said, right? When you're giving someone feedback, maybe like you're telling them about, you know, the dish or something that they cooked, and then rather than saying,
It tastes interesting.
Yeah, but maybe you could say, how about just add a little pinch of salt?
Oh, and it'll be even better.
That's right! Bingo.
Okay, so there's more tips, and you can find out how to give people better feedback by continue reading.
Okay, enjoy today's lesson, guys.
Enjoy.
How to give feedback that people will listen to.
All good feedback shares a few key elements. First, it should help accomplish a specific goal. It's less useful to tell your friend that their dish tastes interesting than it is to suggest adding a little salt to improve the flavor.
Hello everyone, today's lesson is called How to Give Feedback That People Will Listen To. Part 2. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff.
And I'm Mike. And we're talking about giving feedback in a positive way, constructive criticism. When something goes wrong and you want to give your advice, you can do that, but do it in the right way. Take the person aside. Don't focus on all the negative stuff only. Give them positive stuff. Give them helpful suggestions for the future. As we wrapped up, we read that great line, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. The medicine tastes bad, but it's good for you. But if you only have the medicine, that's no fun. So a little bit of sugar, a little bit of sweetness or kindness with your advice will make it much easier and people will move on in a more positive way.
All good feedback, we learn, shares a few key elements. So there you go. We're talking about feedback you don't want to be, that you want people to listen to and not ignore. Well, structure good feedback then, okay? And all good feedback has something in common, okay? They all share, or this, I should say, shares a few key elements, okay? When we talk about elements, by the way, we're talking about parts or features of something, okay? So feedback, it might come in many different parts. Each of these parts, that when you put them together actually form the feedback, you can call these things elements. For example, providing excellent customer service is a key element to the company's success. This is a key element or a big part of the success.
Okay, so they have good products, good customer service, happy workers, great bosses, all of these.
Casual Fridays.
And Casual Friday. All of these different important parts go into making something bigger and better. Okay, so let's look at some of these key elements to giving good feedback. It says, first, it should help accomplish a specific goal. This is kind of what we were saying yesterday. Make sure that your advice or your suggestions are clear. All right? You want to be talking about one specific thing to make it better. You have one specific goal. You're not getting, well, it was okay, but next time you should be better. No. That doesn't really help, because better in what way? We got to talk about specific things, precise things, exact things, okay? So don't kind of dance around it or say things that are kind of hard to figure out. What are you talking about? No, be specific, be precise, be accurate, be exact. Make it very clear what you are talking about. For example, the teacher asked the class to use specific examples in their essays, all right? So if you're talking about something, give me something that I know, something that happened, something that I can put my finger on. Don't be very general about it.
Yeah, there you go. Like if you were to say, "Oh, I'm going to see a movie on the weekend." Someone might say, be more specific.
What movie?
Is it Saturday or is it Sunday?
Oh,
or
true.
be specific. Which movie are you going to see?
Right.
Be super clear. And like Mike said, the opposite of specific is the word general very often. Anyways, it's less useful to tell your friend that their dish tastes interesting than it is to suggest adding a little salt to improve the flavor.
It's bland, it's boring.
And by the way, I've heard that when you're giving feedback, that you should not use the word interesting. The word interesting is kind of empty these days. It's kind of a placeholder for something that you can't express or that you don't want to express.
Like the word nice.
Like the word nice.
Nice.
It's good. Yeah, it's nice. Anyways, here we've got the verb suggest to talk about. Okay, to suggest something is to advise that thing. If you suggest something, you say, I think that this is a good idea. Okay, so you can suggest something, or you can also recommend that thing further. Suggest is a verb. Suggestion would be the noun. For example, my mom suggested we have hamburgers for dinner. What an idea, Mom. I love hamburgers.
All right, and when we're talking about food, flavor is a very important word to use when we're talking about things, or using words to give you an idea of the flavor, because the flavor is the taste of something. All right, we can't really talk about the taste as much as we taste the taste. When we're talking about foods that come in various different styles, potato chips come in different flavors. You might have a spicy one, a chicken one, a salty one, a cheesy one. These are different flavors. And then we can also talk about just how food has flavors. Sweet and salty, spicy, bitter. These are different flavors too. Different ways that things taste when we put them in our mouths. For example, blue cheese has a very strong flavor. Absolutely. Now, I wouldn't say chodofu has a very strong flavor. It has a strong smell, but the flavor is actually quite mild. It's not as strong as blue cheese, for example. All right, let's take a break, and then we'll be back with more about giving good, helpful, positive advice and feedback.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Henry。我们在第一天的课文读到，如果反馈是有帮助的，就要尽快提出来，而且要在适当的时机给予清楚的反馈，然后要提供同等的正面反馈来平衡一下负面的反馈。好，课文接着提到说，所有好的反馈都有一些共同的关键要素。首先，它应该是有助于达成特定的目标。当你跟朋友说他们煮起来的菜尝起来怪怪的，你还不如建议他们加一点盐来改善味道，这样会比较有用，比较有建设性。好，文中的 interesting 在这边是形容奇特的、怪异的，它其实是 strange 或者是 weird 那种比较委婉的说法。好，这边还有4个单字 element 表示要素、成分或是元素。specific 它是形容特定的、明确的或是具体的。suggest 当动词，它表示建议、提议，它的名词是 suggestion， 也是表达建议、提议。再来 flavor 表示味道或是口味。那这边有个重点是，句型 A is less 形容词 than B is， 后面的 is 可以省略，这可以表达说 A 不如 B 怎么样。例如，This camera is less expensive than that one。这台相机不如那台这么贵。好，这回到课文中。
How to give feedback that people will listen to.
Feedback should also look toward the future. You can't change what's already happened, but you can prevent it from happening again. Tell your friend they should take more notes in class instead of talking about how they should have studied harder for the big biology exam they failed. To make your feedback more useful, it should focus on the action, not the person. If someone said that your speech was boring, would you know how to fix it? Being told you should add a funny story at the end is a lot easier to put into practice.
Okay, so make sure you're giving feedback that people aren't going to ignore. Otherwise, what's the point? Anyways, feedback. We've learned a lot about it, okay? All good feedback shares some key elements. And one of these has to do with the future. Feedback, good feedback, should also look toward the future, okay? This is what you can do to fix something in the future. Afterwards, after this, after the feedback.
That's true. We don't have time machines, so you can't really fix things that have already happened. You can't go back in time and change things. You can't change what's already happened. But you can prevent it from happening again. So dwelling and focusing and spending too much time on that was bad and that caused problems and how could you do that and what were you thinking about things in the past doesn't help anyone. It says tell your friend they should take more notes in class instead of talking about how they should have studied harder for the big biology exam they failed. They failed. They know they failed. It happened in the past. You can't change it, so forget about it. Let's talk about how to stop it from happening again in the future.
There you go. So, to make your feedback more useful, it should also focus on the action, not the person. You did a bad job and you're bad. No. What did you do wrong and how can you fix it? Okay, so if someone said that your speech was boring, they're not saying that you're boring or a bad person, but they could give you ideas on how to fix it. So yes, if someone said that your speech was boring, what would you know how to fix it? That's the question.
Very, very interesting. Being told you should add a funny story at the end is a lot easier to put into practice. So instead of that speech was boring, say, how about next time adding a funny story to the end of your speech? That would make it really interesting.
Yeah.
We can focus on the speech, the person doesn't feel bad, and you've given them something that they can actually use to do better next time.
It's been scientifically proven that if you're laughing, you can't be bored. Okay, those two things are totally incompatible.
Interesting.
All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
好的反馈的第二个关键要素是要展望未来。我们没办法改变已经发生的事，但是可以防止它再度发生。像朋友考不及格，你可以提醒他在课堂上多记一些笔记啊，而不是去刁他说本来应该要更用功的。那么 Mike 老师刚刚就说不要老想着过去，老师用到 dwell on。DWELL 再搭配介系词 on，dwell on 就表示沉湎于什么，老是想着什么，那通常是不愉快的事。Dwell on the past 表示一直想着过去，沉湎于过往。好，那这边还有一个重点是 should have 加过去分词的用法。should have 加过去分词表示早应该做某事却没有做，那么否定的 shouldn't have 加过去分词则表示不应该做某事但却已经做了。好，来看两个例句。You should have gone to bed earlier last night. 你昨晚应该要早点睡觉的。I'm sorry, I shouldn't have lied to you. 很抱歉，我不应该对你说谎了，可是来不及，已经说了谎。好，那么课文接着写到，反馈的重点要放在行动上，而不是放在人身上。说别人的演说很无趣，对方就不知道要怎么解决啊。那也许你就可以试着建议对方在结尾加一个有趣的故事。这时候 Jeff 老师就是说啦，笑跟无聊是不相容的。如果观众会笑，那你的演说就不无聊了。老师用到 incompatible 这个字就表示不相容的，不能和谐共存的，或是矛盾的。这个字是拼作 incompatible incompatible。接话课文中。
How to give feedback that people will listen to.
Finally, don't assume your suggestion is the only correct way to deal with a situation. Consider other points of view and keep your ego under control. You might even end up with some feedback on your feedback. Don't take it personally. It can only help you give better advice next time.
Okay, finally, and that means we're coming to the end of our lesson on feedback. That's the word finally here, at the end, or in the end, finally. Don't assume your suggestion is the only correct way to deal with a situation. You might have a good piece of feedback, a good idea. If you insist, though, that this is the only thing that this person can do, they might ignore that idea, a perfectly good one, just because you've insisted, oh, this is what you have to do. So don't insist, and when you're giving feedback, you don't need to wave your fists in the air. That'll probably not be met well.
No, that's a good point. It might have worked for you, absolutely, but it doesn't necessarily mean it will work for everyone else. So consider other points of view and keep your ego under control. If the other person is fixing the problem in their own way and it's not the way you would do it, well, that's okay. Just look for the results. Don't feel hurt if they don't take all your advice all the time, because you might even learn something. You might even end up with some feedback on your feedback.
Yeah, when you shake your fists like that, Jeff, it makes me want to run away and not listen to your feedback, even if it sometimes makes sense. Anyways, next line. It says, don't take it personally. It can only help you give better advice next time. Getting feedback on feedback, I like it. But yes, all jokes aside, don't take feedback personally. Don't take it to heart, okay? If someone's telling you that you can do something better, give a less boring speech, let's say, they're not saying that you're bad or that you're boring inherently. That's a part of you that you can't deal with ever. Don't take it personally. That's what it means, by the way, to take something personally. You take it to heart. You allow that to hurt you at a very deep level. And don't do that. Don't take things personally. Think things through and think how that feedback can actually help you grow as a person. Let's go ahead and take a look at an example sentence for the adverb personally. I couldn't help but take the things you said personally. Yes, you're my friend. We've always been close, so I can't help it. The things you said hurt me deeply. I couldn't help but take it personally. Okay, that's the end of our article, but we do have the what do you think question. Mike, have you ever received poor feedback? And how could that person have given better feedback?
Well, I remember someone gave me feedback once, and it would have been better if they would have used more precise instructions or suggestions. They use these better and nice and, words like that. Interesting. Yeah, it wasn't really helpful. So it's much better if you give it at a good time in a very precise and clear way. Definitely.
There you have it. All right, folks, with that, our lesson is now in the books, and it's time for us to say bye-bye.
Take care.
课文最后提到，不要认为你自己的建议呢是唯一正确的处理方式，应该要考虑其他的观点，然后要控制好自己的自尊心。当你在表达回馈时，然后又从对方那边再得到一些反馈时，你不要认为那是在针对自己哦。好，那么单字 personally 这个副词就表示针对个人的，也可以表达当面的。那当我们说 take something personally， 就表示认为某事是针对个人的。那 Jeff 在解释单字时，他用到 take something to heart， 字面意思是把某事物带往心里去，那就表示呢，把某事一直放在心上，而深受某事物困扰，深受影响。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Hello， 各位同学们，大家好，我是季安老师。我们今天来看一下简短独白。简短独白第二种类型哦 ，introduction， 介绍或引言哦，就是一个人他会上去，然后讲很多有的没的这样。OK， 常见的内容，他要介绍一间公司活动 ，OK， 或者是这个课程哦，要开幕之前，新书啦，新书发表会啦，要介绍 下一位讲者出来，然后可能主持人啊，颁奖典礼上面的主持人啦，或者是员工训练，一开始要一些引言，请董事长讲个话之类的啊，然后呢开幕啦，员工退休的欢送，这些都是 introduction 之类的。那不管它是哪一种类型这些常常会问的就是目的，他今天讲这一段话的目的为何？然后呢，除了这个之外，讲者、听众是谁，这个也很重要。几乎呢每一种类型的这种独白，因为他一个人讲了快1分钟的话，他一定会有他的目的，而且呢他是要讲给谁听的。好，然后这个讲者是谁？很多时候呢，你光听上下文呢，一开始可能还没有办法去抓出来，但是你听一些关键字，再加上脑补，就没有什么太大问题了。好，那接下来要干嘛？这种题目通常会在整个读百的最后，就是我们一般在行销这个讲的就是叫做 call to action，call to action 是 CTA。他希望呢，你听完这一段话之后呢，能有所作为那有所作为，接下来要干嘛？你就要听到完，你才会知道。来，我们看一下 ，Who is the speaker probably addressing？ 有没有？你看就出来了。这个讲者他是对谁说话呀 ？OK， 再来呢 ，How much are the brochures？ brochure 多少钱 ？OK， 所以等一下听到 brochure 的时候要特别注意一下。第三个，What does the speaker say about taking photos at the gallery？ 在这个艺廊拍照这件事情这个讲者他说了什么 ？It is not allowed inside the building. It is not allowed.Outside the building, A 跟 B。C 呢 ，visitors must ask for permission to do so。参访的人必须要问问看可不可以 ask for permission to do so。最后 ，visitors must pay a fee to do so， 要付钱才可以做。这些对象是谁呢？你可以猜猜看了就是光看这个问题，你就要开始去猜，而且呢，这个是有意义的猜，这不是瞎猜所以这是有意义的脑补。OK， 这件事情一定要做。如果是我的话呢，我可能就会去猜 B tourists， 因为他说 What does the speaker say about taking photos at a gallery？ 那你看他这边有 visitor 访客，对，所以我觉得可能访客到这个艺廊有一些参观的时候有一些注意事项不能做的这样。那我们听听看。
Behind me is the last stop of the day, the National Art Gallery. Inside, you will be able to enjoy the artworks of different local painters and sculptors. If you would like an introduction to each artist while you walk around the gallery, audio tour units can be rented at the entrance for just $3 each. In addition, there are brochures about the gallery's history in the lobby, which you can pick up for free. Please note that taking photographs or eating inside the art gallery is prohibited. However,
这边就结束了，对不对？它其实这边3个都已经有 cover 到了。第一个真的被我们猜到是 B， 然后第二个呢 brochure 是免费的 ，OK？ 有听到一个3块钱的那个是 audio tour， 就是那种语音导览。然后呢，第三个 What does the speaker say about taking photos？ 可以拍照吗？不行。我们有听到有一个字叫什么 prohibited， 我们再听一次。
Behind me is the last stop of the day.
Behind me is the last stop of the day. 我身后呢是我们今天的最后一站，所以呢，他们应该就是去玩耍的。
The National Art Gallery. Inside, you will be able to enjoy the artworks of different local painters and sculptors.
没有重点。
If you would like an introduction to each artist while you walk around the gallery, audio tour units can be rented at the entrance for just $3 each.
这边还没有重点，对不对？但是前面有开始知道说，接下来讯息的走向是什么？就是 if you like introduction， 如果你需要这个画廊这些作品的介绍的话
In addition, there are brochures about the gallery's history in the
brochures about the gallery's history
lobby, which you can pick up for free.
Pick up for free， 对，所以呢，这个就是 free 啦。
Please note that taking photographs or eating inside the art gallery is prohibited.
Is prohibited 这件事情是不能做的Please note， OK？ Please note， 所以你看一下看到这边 Please note that taking photos or eating inside the art gallery is prohibited. Prohibited 就是被禁止的 OK？ 好，那所以这3题的答案就这样就很清楚了 B 猪 A。以上是我们今天的课程内容，我是季安老师，我们下堂课见，拜拜。
See you next time.